Hi, this is Janet, and I am working with my crossover today to make a pair of earrings. So I have set up my die on my faux leather and just putting in the top plate of the sandwich, and I'm going to send that through and just bring it right back again because we don't need to cut such a great amount. Got a little dust on there. Alright, so for a pair of earrings we need to do this twice. So there's my first cut. You can see that the piece is cut out perfectly. And then just to save, I'm going to rotate this around and cut out the second piece. And I think my light is giving you a horrible glare there. Sorry about that. Yeah, we'll just go with it. Alright, so there we are. That was the extent of our cutting. And now we'll move on to decorating the earrings. Okay, so hopefully I'm bringing you in a little bit closer so I can show you how I'm going to finish off these earrings. And I just wanted to show you that the die piece that I am using comes from this Maker's Movement set that's called Scallop Die Set. And this is the one I use, but it comes with the 3 different sizes. And if we turn it over, it shows you some variety here of how it can be used, as well as other dies that they have in their jewelry making toolbox. So to start off, what I'm using is some black thread, jewelry thread, and then I have turned my piece over, and with a black magic marker I have gone in and just made a dot in the center at one side, the other, and then I'm going to go in and make 2 more on each side. So that gives me my guide as to where I'm going to sew. Then the next thing I'm going to do is take a larger needle than my beading needle, and I am just going to gently poke through those holes to make way for threading. You can then come to the front of the piece if you want and kind of help make those holes a little bit bigger if you can see where they're at. Alright, so what I have used here is just a regular embroidery needle, and now I'm going to switch over to my beading needle, and this one is well used because it's got a bend in it even from my holding it. But this is the needle I really like, and I'll put a link in the description. But this is a beading needle that is easy to thread because it opens up lengthwise, and you can just put your thread through like so, and then it holds it tight at the end. And depending on which end you put it at, you can see that I have bent the needle a little bit by holding it in my finger. So we're going to begin at one end and just go through the first hole, pull all the way down to the tail of your thread, and leave a decent amount out here. We're not going to knot it yet, we're just going to leave it there. Then I've put out a variety of beads here, and what I have are seed beads, as well as I'm going to call them dangle beads because I'm not really sure the correct term for them. But I'm going to grab one seed bead and one dangle bead, and I'm going to take that all the way up to my earring. Let me move these other parts out of the way here so you can see what's going on. Alright, so I'm all the way up to the earring, and then I'm going to go back through the seed bead with my needle. So take that seed bead all the way up to the top and kind of hold on to it as you pull the other one up to it. And that's going to create a dangle. Alright, so we came from the back. No, we came from the front to the back. I'm going to go into the front here with my needle because you can see how this is dangling. Hopefully you can see this is dangling down from the back. So I want this part of the thread to be in the front. Alright, I'm just going to pull it tight but not, I guess I should say taut, but not real tight so that it still moves. I'm going to move on to the next hole and go into there from the back. And then continue on with one seed bead and one dangle. Looks like I have a little eyelash caught in here too. Get that out of the way. Alright, so we take those beads up to the piece. We're going to travel back through that seed bead. Goodness, if it quit bouncing around on me. Back through that seed bead. Take that seed bead up to the earring piece and pull up the rest of the thread. And then you can see that the thread came from the front of the earring, so this time I want to have the thread go into the back of the earring. I found giving it a little bit of a wiggle sometimes helps get it through those holes. Make sure that the bead is hanging down below and just pull a little tautness to it so that it will still hang. Now this last one, we can tighten it up with the tail. Alright, so I'm going to continue this on. So the next thing I'm going to do, since I'm at the front here, I'm going to travel over to the next hole and go in from the front. And then I'm going to pick up my beads. Now, what you see happening here is this pattern on the front where we don't have a stitch and then we do have a stitch. The next hole will not have a stitch here, and then there will be a stitch here. When I get to the end, I'm going to work my way back so I have a stitch all the way along that line. So you get a sense of what that's going to look like back here. And I'll continue this, probably speed it up so you don't have to sit with me through this whole process. And then I'll come back and show you when I'm ready to tie off. now that I am at the end, I am going to work my way back, zigzagging back and forth, front to back. So this is going to wrap around the side here and go into this hole. And now I'm on the back side, and I'm just going to go into the next stitch. You can see me wiggling because this needle is not sharp. So that's how I get it to travel through. This stitch is very popular in bookbinding. I am not sure how familiar it is to jewelry making. But the look of this without the beads would be a typical binding or a Japanese bookbinding. And so I'm just working my way back to that beginning spot. All right, so we are back to the beginning. And my thread is on the back. I'm going to take the tail end here, bring it over to the back, and now I'm going to tie 2 knots. Now these are surgeon's knots, so it's just a regular square knot with 2 times around. So you make your loop. Try to get it so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so you make your loop and you bring your tail through the opening and you do that twice. All right, and then you tie your knot. I want to make sure that that knot stays on the back side. Okay, don't pull too tight, so you don't want the fabric or the fake leather to dent in there. So now I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go around and around. And just pull it tight on the back. And then I'm going to clip those close to the knot. If you have a thread burner, you could definitely use that to get in here to end those threads. All right, set that off to the side. And then what I'm going to do to finish this off so that we don't see any of this on the back is I chose to die cut out another piece. Now you could do this in fabric, you could do it in the faux leather, you could do it, I've done it in cardstock in a coordinating color. And so what I am going to do is just take this piece and cover it with some tacky type glue. And I'm going to do 2 rows here because I know that's where my stitching is. So I'm just basically going to go over the whole back here. And pick this piece up and put it on the back of my earring. And to hide all those stitches and the knot. You don't have to do this finish. It's just an additional step, but I chose to do it. So slide that paper into place so that it doesn't show in the front. And then the next thing we're going to do is, I'm just going to hold this here for a few seconds just to make sure that that glue is nice and attached. The next thing I'm going to do is to punch a hole to put my jump ring in. And this is a tweezer from Maker's Movement, and it's called a hole punch plier, and it's one of their jewelry making tools. And hopefully you can see here that what that does is then punches a hole to put a jump ring into. And then here on the side, maybe if I put my finger, no, if I leave it open, you can see there's a hole there. So I'm going to do that on here. And now the glue is still wet, and so the paper is a little bit wet, and so we may not get a real clean punch on the back, but I'm okay with that. Just making sure I'm centered, and I go through, making sure the tool has gone all the way through. And so you can see there it makes a really nice hole for you to put your jump ring through. Now on the back side, what it's done is it's given a little dimension there to the paper, and I just kind of clip that off with my scissors. And that almost closes the hole on the back. That's okay for me. I'm going to take care of that when I put the jump ring through it. So the next step is to take your jump ring, and this came from a pack from Maker's Mark. And what I'm working with here are gunmetal, but they also have silver, and I don't remember what they call it. It might be a gold or copper, but this comes in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10 millimeter. So you have 7 different sizes here to choose from. I went, I think, right here. So I'm going to take a pair of pliers. I am going to hold on to my jump ring, find the opening there. All right, and then I'm going to use this tool, which is another piece from Maker's Mark. I'm trying to look for the package here to show it to you. It's a jump ring open and close tool. So this is what it looks like, and it looks like a ring like this with bases in it. And all I'm going to do is take it to my jump ring, put the jump ring in that little slot, and then give it a twist. And I didn't have a good grab on it with my pliers, so let me do that again. I'm working with flat nose pliers here that do not have any texture on the inside, so if you go out to your toolbox to grab a pair of flat nose pliers, be careful, because regular tools, not jewelry making tools, will have texture in there, and they will indent into your metal. All right, so I just opened that large enough. You can see that that slides right on there perfectly. And now before I close that up, I want to put the ear wire on. And this is another gunmetal piece. It came from Maker's Mark. Once again, like I said, they have these in different colors. I chose the gunmetal French hook set. There's 126 French hook ear wires in here, and that's what the case looks like. Now I want these 2 loops to be perpendicular to each other. They are not at the moment, and so I am going to grab hold of this wire here and turn it. You want to be careful doing this. Some ear wires are not as strong as others, and doing this can actually break the wire off, break the loop off. But this one seems to be holding up pretty well, so I'm going to square that up just a little bit. All right, and then I'm going to stick it onto my jump ring there. And put the pliers into my other hand to hold tight. Now when you twist open these jump rings, they hold their shape. Whereas if you were to pull open like so, the circle of the ring would not stay intact. So hopefully you can see that. Sometimes I will give it a little pinch here just to make sure that it's tight. The other thing that you can do with wire is the more you use it, the more it becomes set and firm. So wiggling it a little bit back and forth will give it a little bit more stiff. So if you find your wires to be kind of loosey-goosey, that's one thing that you can do to tighten them up. So I've already done the other one off camera. So there are my Maker's Movement earrings. I hope you enjoyed this.